I'm going to be honest with you. Initially, I had no plans on seeing The Beekeeper. I watched the trailer just like everyone else. I liked it like everyone else. But it just didn't really grab me. That was until I found out a bit more on the story, and after it came out, I saw some reviews from people that I trusted. That was a lie. I don't know why I just lied, but I saw some reviews and they looked good, which is pretty uncommon, you might say. So that alone made me want to see it. I was gonna see Dune Part Two anyway. It was playing the same, like right after. So I watched it, and this is what I thought about it. Pretty much overall, what I would say about The Beekeeper is that it is a good throwback to 80s and 90s action movies. Pretty much the best throwback that I've seen in a really long time to 80s and 90s action movies. It has good acting all around, good fight scenes. It's got really good fight scenes. I saw some mixed reviews about the choreography and the way how well, not the choreography, but how the film was shot, how the action was shot. It doesn't have heavy editing, right? There's not much heavy editing going on, but there is a decent amount, to give like impact to the shots and certain stuff to achieve a certain style that was common during the 80s and 90s. But I saw some mixed views on it, but me myself personally, I liked it. Not gonna lie, it could have been better. Could have been really, really better because Jason Statham is a good martial artist. He's done better action scenes in the Transporter series. Transporter movies are better, but these are still some really good action scenes, especially in the landscape that we are right now. Not everything makes sense. Not everything, uh, given who the character is and who the people he's fighting are. Not everything makes sense. There's a lot of waiting in line to get your ass kicked going on, but and bullets missing where they definitely should not have missed, even if you are the worst shot ever. But that's just typical action movie stuff. So overall, good action scenes. I enjoyed them. Another good thing about The Beekeeper was the pacing. Pacing in an action film is very, very important. The last thing that you want your audience to be is bored, and from start to finish, pretty much the second that Felicia Rashad's character offs herself, the movie is balls to the wall action. Well, not balls to the wall action, but like balls to the wall action, as in like moving parts, as in the plot is getting along to get to the end, to finish, and you can go along your way. That's what I mean. The good pacing. So yeah. There's just the right amount of action scenes. There's just the right amount of story in there. There's just the right amount of not character development, but just characterization, giving the characters time to breathe, giving them like putting actual care into them and putting actual care into the story. I respect that a lot. This is just like an hour 45-minute movie. That is the perfect length. It did not need to be a second longer or a second shorter. Everything that needs to be said, it gets said. Everything that needs to get done gets done, and it just goes along at a really well done pace. So I respect that. I like that. It was really, really good. Something that I thought was even better than good, like the others, something that was great, was the story setting. We've seen secret services and secret organizations running things in the background in films before, but the way how this film did it, it felt natural. A lot of films that do the whole secret service, secret organization running stuff in the background kind of thing, they get overblown with it, which is, it's fun. It's to be expected. It can be fun, but to see it done in a more understandable, realistic kind of setting, in a more realistic kind of expected way, because there was a surprising amount of depth to where like it felt realistic and the characters felt really, really well done. And to piggyback off of that with what I thought was a great story setting with how they handled the secret organization stuff, something that I also thought was great were the great villains. I was not expecting to, well, I didn't root for them, but I was not expecting to like the villains of this film as much as I did, because even down to your simple Navy SEAL kind of guys with the handlebar mustaches and the big muscles and stuff like that, even those guys, like even though they did have a certain amount of cockiness to them, they were like weirdly understandable, realistic feeling individuals. They didn't just go in and just guns blazing. When they were told to stand down, even though they had a reason not to, they stood down. They listened to orders. They were bad guys, but they were like weirdly realistic, understandable bad guys. Like I almost in a weird way I almost felt for them when they died because they were kind of cool and they had these personalities to them. It's kind of hard to explain because it felt so weird. I can't remember the last time that I saw like realistic feeling villains, because the way how they handled them was so professional. It was weirdly realistic feeling. It was rude. Because like like these guys have kids. They have families. They're yes they're bad. Yes they're evil. Yes they're following orders from these madmen because they have the most money and stuff like that. But it just felt realistic. And I would especially like to shout out three characters in particular, right? Josh Hutcherson's character, Jeremy Irons' character. I'm gonna get to the last guy in a second. Josh Hutcherson and Jeremy Irons stole the film, in my opinion. Their scenes together, their chemistry, their charisma, the way how they played off of each other in this like not father and son, but like nephew and uncle sort of relationship, right? At first, I thought that they were related in some way, or like, maybe this guy just kind of like works for his mother in a sort of way, but he's this like ex-CIA operative working for the bad guys because he sold himself to the highest bidder, right? And he's bad, but he's not evil. He's like the rest of the villains. He's like this understandable, realistic feeling kind of guy. Like it's really weird. It's hard to explain because I've never really seen that before portrayed on film, because usually they're either like all in, balls to the wall, no morals whatsoever, or like very little like depleted moral code kind of characters, right? Or they're the complete opposite of that, right? It's only like one or two spectrums in there. But these guys are kind of in the gray zone in a way, where to like they're not evil. They're not out here, like picking people off the street. They're not like seeking to like rule the world or anything like that. They're just in their bubble, in their lane, sort of going in that direction to wherever the money is. That's their motivation. That's their drive. But they're not evil in a sense, like overall when you look at it, yes, they're evil, but they're not like, if you get what I'm saying, right? My words just aren't coming out right. Josh Hutcherson, man, I watched him grow up into this great actor, and this is like the first time that I've seen him in an adult role where he is given the chance to finally do his thing. Yes, he's the most typical villain in this kind of thing, right? But like there was more to him than just your regular pretty boy party, like zero morals kind of guy. He has his head on his shoulders, like he was trying to get stuff done. As immoral and as evil as it was, like he was like the only truly evil kind of guy in the movie, but he played it to perfection. Him and Jeremy Irons absolutely killed it. The last guy that I want to shout out, the villain, I cannot remember his name at this time, but the fat guy with like the Australian guy with the mustache and the leg missing and the thing. Oh my goodness, he was supposed to be your regular top henchman kind of villain, right? He was supposed to be your regular kind of guy who was gonna, go out fighting. And he did go out fighting, but he wasn't stupid like the rest of the villains. They weren't your regular guys, bro. They had their head on their shoulders. They understood orders. They took orders. They had a bit of a temper to them, but they didn't let that overrule their main drive, which was the money. And they kept it going in a sort of way. I hope I'm getting my points across to you, because this is kind of weird, because it's the regular villain templates, but there's more added onto it to make it more than just, the bad guys that Jason Statham has to kill. It's more than that. There's more thought put into it. There's more nuance to it, like almost in a way to where I actually kind of felt for him when they died. They were really well done. That fight scene that he had with Jason Statham, best fight scene that I've seen all year. Might be the best fight scene that I see all year. Like, it was damn good. It was so well choreographed. The way how he kept going, bro, through that pain, like that in itself told a story. And I miss action scenes that told stories with little to no dialogue, bro. He killed it. That whoever that guy is, bro, he killed that role. He was in it for like 10 minutes, but he killed it. Left a big impression, bro. The villains of this movie are so great, damn near perfect, bro. I just love that simple villain template, but they added stuff onto that, bro, to make it even better. I love that. I love that about the film. Best thing about the film, in my opinion. Honestly, I only have one problem. There's only one significant actual thing in this movie that bothered me, and unfortunately, it was a big one. All right. My one problem with the Beekeeper, is Emmy Raver-Lampman as Agent Verona and Bobby Nadiri as Agent Matt. There's a certain vibe in this film. There's a certain energy in this film. There's a certain tone. Yes, there's a certain tone in the Beekeeper that keeps itself from the beginning straight to the end. It's your regular action template of guy who works his way up to the top of the ladder and kills everyone along the way in revenge, right? That's your regular action movie template. But they add extra story, extra to the story, extra to the setting, extra to the villains. Action scenes are still as good as the other action films, so it's just better overall. But Agent Verona and Agent Matt, them as a duo, them as this buddy cop kind of duo. No offense, bro, but it's like their energy just did not fit the tone of the film at all. There was one thing about them, in my opinion, that worked, and that was the work wife joke. All right, the work wife joke was funny to me, but everything else about them, they just gave off a very MCU level kind of, sarcastic in everything they say. The guy is a complete weakling kind of tone, right? Like that's the tone that they brought to it. They were just goofy, bro. Goofy for no good reason. Because the second that Verona came on screen, I felt this jolt. I felt this push. I felt this off-putting MCU, Marvel Comics kind of comedy, kind of seeming off of her. Because she kept trying to be funny, but she's not funny. Honestly, Emmy Raver-Lampman in this movie, like, no disrespect to her, bro. I'm sure that she's a good actress in other projects, but in this one, she was not good. In this one, her acting was pretty much bad, all right? Because her character did not fit in the context of the film. Her and Bobby, they just brought things down. Because the film already has humor, it already has that regular action movie humor that works. 90% of the time it works. It's this, like, you know what I mean when I say action movie humor, right? But they bring in this other level of, like, this bottom of the barrel jokes flying off to the screen sort of MCU humor that just did not work for the film. It completely messed things up whenever they were on screen, because they just did not fit with the tone of the film. And they just don't do anything significant. They're just in the way, bro. They were just in the way the entire time, and I just completely questioned their inclusion. Everything else was a significant cut above that makes it better than your average action film. But when these guys come in, they bring it down even below your regular action films. It brings it down to that MCU humor that everyone is sick of, bro. I haven't seen anyone mention this. Maybe they bother me more than they bother other people, but it just really took me out of the film, bro. It was a really significant downgrade whenever they were on screen. Everything else about the film is so good. Why would they bring these in? Like, they don't match the tone, they don't match the vibe, they completely ruin it whenever they're on screen, bro. The Beekeeper, in my opinion, is a pretty good throwback action movie film. It's got good action, it's got good fight scenes, it's got good story, it's got a good story setting, it's got good pacing, and it's got exceptionally well done villains. All the way throughout, good movie. The only thing that brings it down, in my opinion, the reason why I may not like it as much as other people, would have to be those two detectives, Agent Verona and Agent Matt. They had one good joke, but that was it. Whenever they're on screen, they ruin the whole vibe, they ruin the whole tone, they ruin everything about the film. Thankfully, they're not the big people in the film. Thankfully, they're just there for like a half hour or something like that. But that's a significant part of a less than 2 hour film. So yeah, they really brought stuff down in my opinion, but their presence did not ruin my overall enjoyment of the film. I still think that this is an above average, pretty good action movie. If you're looking for a cut above your average action film, if you're looking for something with just a bit more care put into its story, a bit more care put into its setting, a bit more care put into its main characters and its villains, if that's what you're looking for, a cut above, then this film is for you. I recommend it, as long as you don't mind some MCU level humor being in this movie for absolutely no reason. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to know when I upload next. Don't worry, there are more comic reviews coming, there are more movie reviews coming. It's just taking a bit of a while because procrastination, baby. This has been Fraser Talks, and I'll see you all next time. God bless.
All right, if you're serious, I'll take you to the law myself. I think I can depend on the people in this town to believe me.